All right, so step one is going to be rolling your base. To roll your base, you need a piece of clay. You're going to need the dark blue roller bars, which are the second from the smallest size we have. They look like this. You need a mat. You also should make sure your mat is relatively clean. I have a little bit of dry clay right here I'm going to take off. Roller bars on either side of the piece of clay. You're going to roll on the roller bars, forward and back. Flip. On the roller bars, forward and back. Flip, and notice I am flipping multiple times. Does anyone remember why we do that? Remember, clay is like paper. It has a memory. If you roll a piece of paper up one way, you have to roll it back the other way to make sure that it doesn't roll back up again. Clay is the same. Has a memory. It will try to roll back up in whatever direction you roll if you only roll one direction. So if you don't flip it. Then I'm going to use my red rib to compress and smooth the front and the back. Then I need my cookie cutters. And I'm going to need my template. This is my template. Remember, each square represents 1 inch. So if I see that this is 1 inch, but this is only half of my coil pot, so I have to double it. So 2 inches is going to be the size of my base. So I'm going to find the cookie cutter that measures 2 1/4, which is what this one measures, about a little bit more than 1/4. I'm going to cut by pressing down, turning, flipping over, tapping, and I've got my base. Move my cookie cutters off to the side, move my base off to the side. Now I need to roll my first coil. My clay is a little bit dry, so I'm going to spray my mat. And I'm going to spread it out so that it's easier to roll through. Remember, you can squish your clay into a long coil first. And roll back. Only roll back and twist if it gets flat. If you roll back, you're going to have greater success in not having a flat coil, which is why that's what I recommend. I'm also rolling through the water, which is going to allow my clay to pick up some of that moisture because it was feeling a little bit dry. Once your clay gets long enough, you can use 2 hands and kind of pull them apart, which is going to allow you to roll a little quicker. I'm going to make sure that I'm rolling so that it is the same thickness or close to the same thickness as a Sharpie. Here's my Sharpie. I can compare them now. You can see that they are approximately the same thickness. I'm ready to put my first coil on. In order to do that, I'm going to use my template. You're using this piece, not the inside piece. I'm going to hold it up to the side. I can see that the clay needs to go out. So I'm going to first fix that. There we go. I'm going to wrap it around and overlap it so that I can see where I might need to trim, if I need to trim. And I'm going to use my template to check that it's matching. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So when I'm using the template, you're putting it right up to the side to see that it matches. It matches there. It matches there. This side might need to come out a little bit. Matches there. And it matches there. So this coil is ready to be trimmed and attached. So I'm going to take it off my base. Use my fettling knife to trim. Remove the excess. Put it off to the side. I'm going to score those ends. I'm going to score my coil. I'm going to score my base. I'm going to slip my base. Slip my two ends together. Place it down on my base. Flip it over, make sure that it's even on all sides. Then I'm going to blend the inside first. Now when I do this, I usually do it crossways so that it doesn't move around while I'm blending. Kind of tacking it down into place. Then I can just use my thumb, blend it all together. Now you don't have to use your thumb. This is just what works best for me. You can continue to use the modeling tool. I just think that it is harder for me to do that. You do want to make sure that it's blended well, because as you're building on the inside specifically, because as you're building it becomes harder and harder to blend the inside as it gets taller. So make sure the inside is always blended well. The outside, we can always smooth that at the very end. So you don't have to be as careful about the outside, but do make sure you're blending it so that it stays on and you're connecting the two parts. So I'm blending down into the base. Just going to smooth over those little extra pieces that came down. All right, first coil is on. Now, it goes a little faster after that. And the reason is, after your first coil, if your clay is very wet, like mine is going to be, this is very, very wet clay, you do not need to score and slip. You can just blend the coils in. But your clay must be wet. So I just started building. I already put one coil on. You need to get something?
Yeah, can I go play?
Yeah, yes, that's fine. Cool. All right, second coil, putting it down. Checking it against my template. Trimming it. Blending those two sides together. Making sure it's centered. Blending on the outside. Or inside, doesn't matter which side you do first, whatever you prefer. And I go around twice usually to make sure I get all the spots. Don't want to miss anything. Okay, then the inside. Remember, blending the inside is more important, making sure that it's nice and smooth. And you can see when my clay is soft how quickly I'm able to blend the inside, because the clay is soft. All right, inside is done, outside is done. I'm going to check it against my template. That looks great. I'm going to add another coil. And again, because my clay is soft, and I'm going to make it a little softer using water. Because my clay is soft, I am able to avoid using slip. Now, if you also want the building to go a tad bit faster, you can make your coils a little bit thicker. So this coil is a bit thicker, but I'm going to use it. I'm going to place it down on my piece, wrap it around, trim. Again, making sure it's centered, blending those two pieces together. Putting it on, making sure it's centered, blending on the outside. Sometimes I will blend up as I start building. The first couple times, because you don't have a lot of space at the bottom, you can't really blend up and down, but now I'm able to do that. That is going to give you a flatter outside appearance. It's going to fill in those gaps between coils. Just going to look smoother overall. All right, outside looks good. Going to blend the inside now. Once again, pulling down. I like to use my thumb for the inside especially, but it's totally up to you, whatever works best for you. All right. Inside looks good. Sometimes I will also use my modeling tool to kind of smooth the inside together. I'm holding the outside, so I'm not pushing the outside out at all, but I'm just using the tool, the modeling tool, to sort of smooth everything together. I'm going to smooth the base as well. You can also smooth the outside with a red rib to pull everything together. You might want to do this periodically to ensure that your piece is staying together and no parts are getting dried out. There's no cracks. Remember, cracks can sometimes cause problems later on, so make sure there aren't any of those. And then again, I'm going to be checking with my template. All right, this looks symmetrical. Check with my template. Looks good. This little side. I'm going to pull down so you guys can see. Matching my template. Looks pretty good. This side might need to be pushed out just a tad bit. Looks good. Looks good. This side, because you see there's a little gap here at the bottom, I can kind of push together towards the top. And you're going to see what that does. Makes it line up again. All right. Matching pretty much all the way around so I can add my next coil. Any questions about this process so far? Everybody understand how to do it? And again, if you make a fatter coil, you can put it on. And sometimes fatter coils are nice because you spend a little less time building with thicker coils. You just don't want to go too thick. This is about as thick as I would go, which is still not too far from a Sharpie size. Again, I'm going to trim, place the coil around. This one's actually matching up pretty much. Give it a little bit more length. Trim it down. And that's all. You guys have a great day.